Alors bonjour tout le monde, bonjour à tous. Bienvenue chez Gowling WLG. Welcome to Gowling WLG. My name is Alexandre Samy. I'm a partner here in the Montreal office in the litigation group. Je m'appelle Alexandre Samy, je suis associé au sein du groupe litige ici au bureau de Montréal. Tonight's presentation will be mostly in English, but feel free to ask questions in any other language, and depending on the language, I will do my best to translate. That said, I have to tell you, my Arabic is a bit rusty. Some of you may know Gowling WLG. We are an international law firm composed of 1,400 legal professionals around the world and across Canada. And at Gowling WLG, diversity and inclusion are central to our core values. In fact, we take concrete initiatives to support diversity and inclusion. And in that respect, we are pleased to announce that we became the first international law firm to sign the UN's Women's Empowerment Principles. First established in 2010, the 7 Empowerment Principles underpin a powerful global initiative designed to help businesses advance gender equality and promote women's economic empowerment within their workplace, industries, and communities. Helping women advance in senior roles remains a significant focus for Gowling WLG, so it was only logical for us to host this event in partnership with the CABC, the Canada Arab Business Council, and to celebrate the achievements of women who have excelled in their field. Now I have the pleasure to introduce Madame Carmen Sylvain. Ms. Sylvain served as Canada's ambassador to the Republic of Colombia, the Kingdom of Morocco, and the Republic of Mauritania. Within the federal government, she held positions with the Privy Council Office, Communications, Canadian Heritage and Foreign Affairs, and International Trade. In this context, she led the development of a foreign policy plan for Canada, as well as commercial strategies for Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Today, she's a strategic advisor to the QG100 Business Network and serves on a number of boards. Ms. Sylvain will say a few words on behalf of the CABC. Thank you.
Bravo,
Merci.
Carmen, bravo.
Merci, merci. It makes me feel very old when I hear all those things. But, d'abord, j'aimerais vous souhaiter tous la bienvenue. Ici, je suis très heureuse de vous voir en grand nombre et très heureuse de pouvoir collaborer avec Gowlings sur cet événement qui est un deuxième. On a fait un premier événement du genre à Ottawa c'était l'année dernière ou l'année d'avant?
Oui.
L'année dernière. I'm particularly happy to be talking about Arab business women and women entrepreneurs in general, and I want to do it in 3 ways. One, to talk about the Canada Arab Business Council. I started working with the Canada Arab Business Council about 20 years ago when I became director responsible for Gulf countries and North Africa for bilateral and trade relations. And I remember at the time when I was nominated to that post, the Arab ambassadors got together and they said, what are they doing naming this woman who doesn't even come from foreign affairs? They told me that later, into this position. And about 3 years later, they were going back to my boss and saying, you should send her to the United Arab Emirates as ambassador. Instead, they sent me to Morocco, and I was very happy about that. But I was the first Canadian, this is only in 2004, Canadian woman to be sent abroad to an Arab country as ambassador. In 2004, think about it.
Yeah.
And since then, we've had 4 women to Morocco. We've had a woman in Algeria, in Tunisia, in Jordan, in Lebanon, now in the UAE, in Kuwait, in Qatar, and hopefully someday Egypt and Saudi Arabia and many more. And I mention this because they play a different role. You know, it creates a space for women entrepreneurs, a space for them to connect with women entrepreneurs in those countries and women entrepreneurs in Canada. And so I think that the time is right for women entrepreneurs to be doing business in this particular part of the world. And I've also been working within the Canada Arab Business Council. The Canada Arab Business Council is a nationwide council that brings together Canadian and Arab businesses who want to build trade and investment between those two regions of the world. Every year they host an annual forum. And about 3 years ago in Ottawa, I decided, because they put me in charge of organizing the forum, so I said, okay, this year we're going to have at least one woman keynote, and guess who that was? And a second keynote, actually, we had two fantastic women aside from Madame Henkel, and we're going to have at least one woman in every single panel. And sorry guys, but the men were scratching their heads, they're saying, well, where are we going to find these women? And I just went on Google and I found some amazing women from every sector, and actually it made a big difference. And we've had, last year our forum and the year before had a really good contingent of women, and it's growing. And I think this event is another part of that. The timing is also right in terms of the Arab world because there's a very important event taking place in Dubai this year, starting in October 2020, and it will go on until April 2021, and that's the Dubai World Fair. For those of you, I see a lot of young people in the room who have never experienced a World Fair like Expo 67, but this is an expo like Expo 67. It's the first one ever to be hosted in the Arab world.
Yeah.
So it is extremely important, not just for Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the UAE, but for all the countries of the region. They're taking it very seriously. They have about 200 countries that are participating. It's going to go on for 6 months, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 20 million people. So it's a tremendous opportunity to meet people, whether it's from academia, from business, from NGOs, from the political sphere. And the Canada Arab Business Council is working to organize a series of trade missions in different sectors: energy, infrastructure, health, education, IT, agriculture, and more importantly, women entrepreneurs and young girls, young women and girls. We're going to try to organize a mission of them so to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. And believe me, that event is going to have as much impact in that region of the world as Expo 67 did here. So think about it in those terms, and those of you who are over 60, I won't look at them. Please share with the people around the room what you think the opportunities might be arising from that. The Canada Arab Business Council is going to be organizing a forum on April 16th in Toronto on a theme related to the Expo theme. The Expo theme is Connecting Minds, Creating the Future, and it's all about observing the challenges and the solutions, the challenges in the Arab world, the issues, the problems, and the solutions that already exist all over the world but haven't been connected because countries and companies and individuals don't share those solutions. They want to create a platform to do this. So at the Canada Arab Business Council Forum in April, we're going to be having a session specifically on Expo 2020, calling it The Future is Here. Sorry, I lost my title here. The future is now for Canada and the Arab world. So if you want to develop some networks, meet people who are already involved in the region, meet women who are interested in the region, learn more about that particular event, potentially participate in a series of these missions that we're going to organize, then please go onto the CABC website and try to plan to be there. Anyway, I'll end there. I'm not the keynote, so I've already gone on way too long. But hopefully we'll have the chance to talk privately over the course of the evening. Je vous remercie d'être là et à nos participantes et à Garlings pour la collaboration. Au revoir.
Thank you very much. I'm now delighted to introduce Ms. Rachel Bendayan. Ms. Bendayan is a devoted community leader with deep roots in the writing of Outremont. After nearly 2 decades of community and political activism, she was elected as Member of Parliament for Outremont in February 2019. In December 2019, she was asked by the Prime Minister to serve as Parliamentary Secretary for small business, export promotion, and international trade. Prior to entering public life, she built a successful and specialized legal practice at Northern Rose in the field of litigation and international commercial dispute resolution. She also taught at the Faculty of Law of the Université de Montréal, volunteered in local high schools to teach the importance of the Canadian and Quebec charters, and sat on numerous boards of hospitals and charitable organizations. Ms. Bennayan.
Merci beaucoup pour cette introduction, Metsami. Bonsoir à tous et à toutes. Masoul Khair. C'est toujours un plaisir d'être chez soi à Montréal, mais c'est encore plus grand ce plaisir lorsqu'il s'agit de célébrer les réalisations remarquables des femmes arabes dirigeantes à travers le monde et surtout ici au Canada. So thank you to Gowlings, thank you Ruba, especially for all of the work that went into organizing this evening, and thank you to the Canada Arab Business Council. During this panel discussion, we will hear from two incredible female leaders, Danièle Henkel and Henreitte Bichai, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing the discussion from these successful women entrepreneurs. Comme nous le savons tous et toutes dans cette salle, les femmes se heurtent malheureusement à des obstacles supplémentaires par rapport aux hommes dans tous les aspects de leur vie professionnelle. Des études ont montré, par exemple, et j'en discutais tantôt avec plusieurs d'entre vous, que les pitchs faits par des hommes entrepreneurs étaient financés dans 78% des cas. Savez-vous ce qu'il en était lorsque la même présentation était faite par des femmes? Ce taux chutait alors à 32%. Il faut qu'on se rende compte de ce que cela signifie. À compétences égales, c'est 2 fois moins de chances pour les femmes de faire financer leurs projets. D'une manière générale, les femmes propriétaires d'entreprises sont également 2 fois plus susceptibles de se voir refuser un financement faute de garanties suffisantes. Elles sont aussi 2 fois plus susceptibles d'être considérées comme présentant un risque élevé en raison des secteurs d'activité dans lesquels elles exercent. The effects of barriers to financing, barriers to mentorship, and obstacles in certain specific sectors, these need to be fought. And it's leaders like us, like all of you in this room, that are leading that fight. In 2017, less than 12% of working women in Canada were self-employed, and only 16% of small businesses were women-owned. We know we can do better, and we know that we need to do better now. And the truth of it is, our economy cannot move forward if half of our population is being held back. Notre gouvernement a pris des mesures importantes en faveur des femmes en affaires. Le Canada a notamment participé à la création de la toute première stratégie pour favoriser l'entrepreneuriat féminin, avec pour objectif de doubler le nombre d'entreprises détenues par des femmes d'ici 2025. Our government's goal to double the number of women-owned enterprises by 2025 is ambitious, I know. But with your help, the Minister and I are confident that we can get there. Nous avons créé des réseaux nationaux de soutien. Nous investissons directement dans les entreprises détenues et dirigées par des femmes et nous veillons à ce que chacune d'elles puisse accéder à toutes les opportunités offertes sur le marché du travail. We've also created the Business Women in International Trade program, which is dedicated to helping women-owned businesses become export-ready. This program was specifically made for Canadian businesses that are at least 51% owned, managed, and controlled by women. Je suis extrêmement fière d'avoir joué un rôle dans l'élaboration de la stratégie pour l'entrepreneuriat féminin, mais je n'aurais pas pu le faire sans les précieux conseils de Danièle. Avec Laura McGee, PDG de Diversio, Danièle a fait partie du groupe d'experts chargé du développement de cette stratégie qui a contribué à la création d'initiatives auxquelles des centaines et des centaines de femmes entrepreneurs canadiennes ont recours aujourd'hui. Like them and like Henreitte and Ruba, and like all of the remarkable Arab women that we're celebrating tonight, I know that when women succeed, everyone succeeds. Ndama Tanjahu Nissa, Yanjahu Jamai. Merci et bonne soirée.
Merci, Mme Diane. Merci, Madame Sylvain, pour vos messages importants. Alors, ce soir, tonight, we are very honored to have and to host two amazing guest speakers. Danièle Henkel, a businesswoman and entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Danièle Henkel Enterprises, and Henreitte Bichai, VP of Quebec Operations at IDC Worldsource Insurance Network. Danièle Henkel is a very well-known businesswoman and entrepreneur who has imposed her mark both by her personality and her multiple achievements. Founder and CEO of Danièle Henkel Enterprises, she markets avant-garde and non-invasive technologies for medical aesthetic centers. In addition, she develops franchises and offers medico-aesthetic express services and a range of cosmetic products. Just recently, she launched a digital television platform, daniellehenkel.tv, entirely dedicated to empowering small and medium-sized businesses and offering visibility to entrepreneurs from all over Quebec. As a speaker, Danièle Henkel lends her voice to many causes around the world: social entrepreneurship, education, health, human and ethical values in business, just to name a few. And as a passionate advocate of women's entrepreneurship and women's financial emancipation, she does not hesitate to invest, finance, and support companies in which she believes, just as she did during 5 seasons of the show Dragons Den. She works hard, but she remains very attached to her roots and her family values. Ms. Henkel, it's an honor to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.
Our next guest speaker, Henreitte Bichai, is a professional and senior executive in the financial world. In her realm, her name has become synonymous with growth, integrity, and success. She was the first and youngest woman in Quebec to own her own financial service general agency. And she currently is the regional vice president at IDC Worldsource, one of Canada's largest life insurance managing general agencies. Henreitte is very passionate about empowering women. She advocates for women's rights, and she mentors aspiring leaders and business women. Henreitte is constantly reminding others that everyone needs a why. Hers is her role as a wife, as a mother of 3 boys, and as a woman of faith. For them, and because of them, she has survived multiple obstacles and risen above many challenges to find herself at the top of her game. Henreitte, thank you for being here. So tonight, our wonderful guests will share their experience and efforts towards the promotion and advancement of women of Arab origin. Ms. Ruba El-Sayeg, my colleague, my partner in the advocacy department in the Ottawa office of Gowling WLG, and also the co-leader of the Arab States Initiative, will be moderating the panel discussion. Her practice focuses on commercial and civil litigation, as well as regulatory and administrative law. Ruba also practices in embassy law, where she serves as outside general counsel to foreign missions, ambassadors, diplomats to Canada. Donc, après cette quelque peu longue introduction, je vais me joindre à vous de ce côté de la salle et laisser la parole à nos invités. Donc, au nom de Gowling WLG et du CABC, nous vous remercions tous et toutes de votre présence et nous vous souhaitons un très bon événement. Alpha Shokran.
Thank you again for agreeing to do this with us, and thank you to all of you for coming. We would like to make this session a little bit more interactive, and so I would like to put a question to you, the audience, a question that Ms. Henkel put to me during one of our chats, a question that frankly stumped me because I hadn't given it much thought, but I'm giving you an opportunity to think about it, and we will come back to it at the end, or not at the end, but in the middle. We'll come back to it. And Danièle and Henreitte would love to hear your comments and to provide you with some feedback. And so the question is, what is your unique gift? I'll give you some time to think about that. First, we'll start with Danièle's unique gift. Danièle, there is an article in the BBC News about you with the title, "The Refugee Who Fled Civil War and Became a Multi-Millionaire." At the time, you worked as a political and economic advisor to the US consulate in Algeria, but you gave up everything almost overnight to seek asylum in Canada. The tale is similar to many Canadian immigrants who have left everything behind in their home countries to seek a better life in Canada and to seek success in Canada. For you, Danièle, success came big. Today, you are one of the best known business leaders in all of Quebec, well known for the advancement of women entrepreneurs, an innovator, an author, recipient of several prestigious awards, most recently being nominated as the top 100 most influential women in Canada. A wife, a proud mother of 4, a doting grandmother to 6.
7.
7?
Yes.
The question to you, Danièle, is simple. The answer may not be. What is your unique gift?
To be true. My gift is to be true to myself. And my gift is, I believe, communication. I learned that through communication, everything can be solved. Everything and anything. It's just because we stopped communicating that we live today in such a fear and understanding each other. So my gift is communication, yes. I think we could go as far as looking within a problem, naming, I would say, the challenge, and wanting to find a solution. And it comes with something that we tell each other, or people will tell us, which is, nah, don't bother with that. It's impossible. And it's so common. It has become so often commonly said. It's, come on, don't. It's really tough. It's really hard. It's really impossible. So, no, it is not. It might be. But you don't know until you try it. So go try it. So this is my gift. My gift is, my sweet husband says always, you're like a soldier. You fear everything, but you go for the calling. No matter what it is, you're still going. Fear is interesting because it helps us to think, to be present, to look around. But fear is also a drive, just to push you forward. So my gift is communication and authenticity.
You talk about this drive and how you keep going. At the age of 64, a seasoned entrepreneur, what makes you keep doing what you do?
When I see how it matters to me, to my family. You know, I had 4 children, but today I have 7 grandchildren. They're born here. And one day I had a conversation with my oldest granddaughter, and we were talking about school and the things she does not understand, the things that are difficult for them, especially when you have values. So she said, Grandma, is there anything you can do to change that? And you know what? I said to her, I will never stop trying to change that and many other things, because it is by trying that we will change things with time. But Grandma will do her best. So yeah. And it makes me remember that what I do, it is actually to inspire. We could start talking about business until tomorrow morning, but if we don't know who we are, I told you, I asked you the first question is, what is your gift? Because that's what makes you unique. That's what will make you absolutely shining among 1,000 people. You're one. There is only one Ruba. There is only one Danièle. So the gift is important. It's to know what we are, who we are, and what is our purpose.
Thank you. Henreitte, clearly a woman with ambition. But I'd like to turn a little bit to the idea of acquiring knowledge and expertise. And you have focused a large part of your life on developing expertise. First a degree in political science, then attended Harvard in management, working towards your chartered financial planning certificate, and now your MBA. You ran your own MGA for 7 years, being the youngest and first woman to do so in Quebec. Now regional vice president of one of the largest insurance networks in Canada, IDC. Nominated in 2020 as the top 100 people in finance. Known as the woman who makes the impossible possible. A wife, a mother of 3 kids in competitive hockey, which is basically like having a 4th child. How did you use your knowledge to gain success?
So I gained success really, I don't know,
And is it enough?
Power?
Yeah.
Is the knowledge enough? Is the knowledge enough to gain success?
Yeah.
So knowledge is important, okay? It's important so that you can identify opportunities. It's important to be prepared for opportunities, but knowledge is not enough. There are many, many people, many women, many people who are very bright, very smart, have lots of education and don't have success. And they are missing something. What are they missing? So I shared with one of my friends recently that we are very fortunate here. I wasn't born here, but we are very fortunate to live in Canada, a free, democratic, prosperous country. We could have been sleeping on concrete floors. We could have been caught in civil wars. We could have been uncomfortable talking about politics in our homes out of fear, but we're not. We're free here. So we have an opportunity, and we were describing just before new opportunities that the government's providing for women. So we are filled with opportunities here. But is opportunity enough to succeed? It requires courage. So Danièle was just talking about fear, always being afraid. The more knowledge you gain, the more fearful you become, because now you're aware of the things that can go wrong.
That's true. So true.
But you can't let the fear prevent you from taking leaps. So knowledge is important to be able to identify opportunities. You have to have the opportunities. You have to have courage to seize those opportunities. You also have to have the perseverance to overcome the obstacles that will come. There will be many obstacles to come. And you have to persevere to rise to the best of your abilities. And then you have to have the will to do whatever it takes. So knowledge is not enough. It's important to be able to identify opportunities. You need to have opportunities. You need to have courage. You need to have perseverance. And you need to have the will.
It sounds like these are the kind of skills that one might acquire in life, as opposed to sort of it being a God-given thing that you're born with. A quote that I've read before that I really like is what I think characterizes that is the best way to predict the future is to create it. What does that statement mean to you?
The best way to predict the future is to create it. Abraham Lincoln said that. And the future is what you dream for it to be. It isn't something that's happening to you. And that's really empowering for us as women, isn't it?
It is.
It's something that is within our control, especially here. So what did I imagine my future to be? When I ran my own MGA, managing general agents, my own business for several years, I was fine. I was successful. I was doing well. I could have stayed there. But I envisioned something greater for me. I envisioned a future bigger because I'm constantly in pursuit of getting better. And so I reached out with my knowledge and expertise and experiences, and I prepared for an opportunity. And the opportunity came. I was prepared. And I sold my company. I took a position that I knew no one at. I had my little comfort zone, and I left my fears behind, and I entered into something new, courage. So I entered into something new. I wrote a new future for me. I traveled between Quebec and the Maritimes, running 2 provinces with 3 very young babies. And I prepared there too, acquired experience. It wasn't God-given. It was hard. It was very hard. And when everyone else was sleeping in the house, I was with a lit tablet, nursing and reading and learning and acquiring things and finding the gaps. And then I prepared for a new opportunity. So when IDC Worldsource came looking for someone to lead in Quebec, I was ready for an opportunity. And I was courageous enough to take it.
The best way to predict the future.
The best way to predict the
to
future
create it.
is to create it. Abraham Lincoln. He envisioned a future without slavery, and he created it. What are we creating? What future are you creating for you?
I always say you can't compare yourself. You can be inspired, but it comes from you. Each one of you is different. Not one will do the same thing the same way. Not one of us will walk the same walk. Not one of us will dream the same dream. But we can only inspire. I am inspired. I'm inspired by many. This is what helps me too. But I do not want to be them. I try not to make that mistakes. And another thing, in order to create the future, it's to be very, 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 very present. You cannot create the future if you're not here and here. Like being present in everything that is surrounding us, what is happening around us, how it makes us feel, what do we see? And yes, grabbing the opportunity. And yeah, and it may not be the good one.
That's right.
But at least you tried.
That's right.
So I think we have so much opportunities in this country. That's why I'm in love with this country. And I'm actually happy to have Madame Sylvain and Rachel being here because of you. I said we don't say thank you enough to women that have already done the work for us. We have not, we are not, we forget. We forget that we keep saying, but I don't know what to do, and it's so tough, but you don't know what tough is and was for certain women before us. So Canada is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and it is true. We all travel, and I just want to be back as soon as possible because this is home. This is sweet. We're not perfect, far from it. But my God, we're so well taken care of and growing.
I'd like to now turn to mentorship. Oftentimes people cite that as a critical part of their success story. And as female leaders and the younger generation of women is always looking to you as examples, as mentors, as people to emulate. And one way to look at mentorship is leading by example, sometimes in small but oftentimes significant ways. And by way of example, the CEO of Deloitte, Kathy Engelbert, once said in an interview that in an effort to encourage her female colleagues to stay within the firm, she made an important change, a change to how she communicated her work-life balance. And so what she would do is every time one of her children had an activity, she would simply say so to her colleagues or to her clients, as opposed to making up some kind of work-related excuse, just that would make it seem like she's, not being responsible about her work. So this is one of the small changes that she made in terms of sort of encouraging the younger generation of women to say, oh, okay, you can sort of have it all. Henreitte, I'd first like to turn to you on this one. What are some of the things that you have done, either quietly or overtly, to influence or to inspire the younger generation?
I can't make excuses because I have 3 little ones. That would have been a lot of excuses. So I didn't go that route. But I think If I look at some of the mentees that I've had, I really love people. I really, really love them, actually. And I make a lot of effort to get to know you. I want to know what inspires you, what scares you, where you're from, where you were born. My best friend, every house I bought, first thing she'd go to check my basement because she lived war and she would have to run down many floors to hide there. And it stayed with me. She doesn't know I was going to say that. But those things, they help me to bridge something between you and me because we're different, you and I. And we're very different. But I have to find a common ground when you want to know something that could inspire you from me. And what I try to do is create that bridge. We stand there. And I really just act as a mirror to show how awesome you are. And I've said that to you. And because I really find something about you that's awesome, and I really, truly love it, and you see it in me, because I'm sincere, and you recognize that, you believe that you're also awesome. Because you are. And you go out looking for the best version of yourself. I want you to go out looking for the best version of you constantly. And so in mentorship, what have I done? It's little things at a time. One person at a time. It could be a lifelong relationship. It could be a one-time meeting. But be that, and I encourage you to be that for other people too, and for other women. Be the person who inspires them to see the awesome in them, because we're going to make such a huge difference together. And isn't it nice to know that someone sees you? To see the beautiful qualities in you? And I do, and I see them, and they're unique in you. They're gifts you have. I look for those gifts. And I sort of just remind you of them. And then when you're confronted with an obstacle, or with a decision, or with something that seems like a mountain to you, by exposing the awesomeness, you have the courage to walk up to that mountain and realize it's just a tiny little molehill finally, and you're able to overcome it. So I can't say that I've done anything magical or big or so impactful, but I feel like every relationship, every encounter I have, I try to make as impactful as I can be, because you matter. You really matter. What else was I doing here then?
So for you, it's about bridging relationships or fostering these relationships. I'd like to sort of talk about that a little bit more, because it's not always a selfless endeavor, mentorship. And this is a concept that Sheryl Sandberg talks about in her book, Lean In, where she talks about the idea of mentorship being a symbiotic type of relationship, a give and take between people. It's not a selfless exercise.
Can't be.
And in your role as a dragon on the Dragons Den, what are some of your expectations of the people that you mentor? In a way, what do you expect in return?
It's funny because every time when we speak about mentoring, it's like if we give. But it's not true. There is a difference between a coach and a mentor. A mentor is, first of all, a mentor is chosen. Okay? I choose a mentor for certain things that makes me believe that that person can make me better. And most of the time it has nothing to do, again, with business or with anything else. It's about the person. It's what attracts me to. But in return, it's what attracts me to. Because the beauty about mentoring, it's I learn so much in return. It is really an exchange of knowledge, but knowledge about capabilities, personalities, courage. Most of the time I mentor younger women or even men. And every time I tell them, oh my God, this is better than university for me. Because sometimes I take what they know that they just told me and I bring it within my own business. And you know what? I look so good in meetings. They say, how did you find out that? But it doesn't come always from me. It comes from learning from the other one. I'm always, mentoring is c'est une richesse. It's important to do so. But mentoring is also many different things. It's not just sitting down and talking to someone. It is doing things, acting. For example, you said something, you said, I see you. So I made a promise to myself a long time ago when I was looking for a job, when I arrived. I remember that I was writing letters, so many letters, and none of them would come back with an answer. And I promised that if one day I would have the position to receive requests, any kind of requests, I will always answer them. So you know what that did? First of all, I lost 6 executive assistants on the way because they found out that that was completely crazy and insane to do that. So I said to them, can you sit down 2 minutes with me, because this is important what I'm going to be saying, because we don't think sometimes. I said, tell me, you working? I said, sure, of course, with you. Good. Do you have a home? Yeah. Do you eat 3 meals a day? Yeah. You have a car? Yeah. Now, these persons that wrote to me and asking for help or information or a direction, do we know them? No, we don't. Do we know in what situation they are into? No, we don't. Good. I said, but maybe the only thing they need is for us to say to them, you exist and you matter. So hey, maybe I don't have the answer, but I promise you I will make the point of finding a link or an organization, anything, but I will answer you. That is mentoring to me.
That's great. Thank you. Another important component of one's success that can either make you or break you in your career, frankly, is family. And in a number of interviews, I have often heard Indra Nooyi, CEO of PepsiCo, talk about the influence of family on her career. She describes being brought up in this socially conservative community in which she often got conflicting messages from her family members. So she tells a story about her mother, how her mother used to always tell her, I want you to be married by 18 and you can become prime minister after that, that's fine. And she talks about this idea of how the men in her life often encouraged her to aim big. How has family, and I'll put this question to both of you, but how has family influenced your career? Who'd like to start on that one?
My greatest influencer and mentor and coach is my mom. She's not here, but she's away. She taught me, like many of you must have been taught, that nobody is beneath me. But she also taught me that nobody is above me. And so she taught me that if I sit at the table with a senior executive, a CEO, a president, a prime minister, that he has fears or she has fears just like me, and that ultimately they are my equal. And there is nothing to fear from that relationship. So that has stuck with me. And people in my entourage, including my husband, when we first got married, he's like, oh my God, you believe you can become anything? I'm like, I do. I do. And the belief that nobody is above me was so strong, and it was so important and impactful that it resonated throughout my life, and it shaped experiences that I had. By far, the greatest lesson that I have ever had.
Thank you. Danièle, how has family influenced you?
Family is everything. I think for most of us, women are so into that. It's important for us. But family, yes, my mother. I didn't have a father. I didn't know my father, so my mother raised me. She was illiterate. She didn't know how to write or read, but she was a great businesswoman. She kept telling me almost the same thing than you. She just said, you will always remember that you're capable of overcoming anything. But she told me one thing, because Mom was Jewish and we were living in North Africa, which was very difficult. So she baptized me as Catholic to try to protect me. So it was quite interesting. Yeah. But when I was 14, my mother got arrested. She was wrongly accused of a crime. And when they released her 3 days later, she was completely a broken woman. And I was married. She told me to marry a man at 19, and I had 4 children, amazing children. So sometimes we do not have control on certain things. It's the way we're going to try to turn them around and make them bearable, make them possible. And that's why the day I became a mother, I knew that for them, with them, always, I will fight to the end. They are my strength, and you have no idea how much. Mm-hmm. Really. Like when you don't have anything, and you still would believe that you can make it, it's just the strength of that power that we call motherhood.
Thank you. I'd like to turn a touch back towards mentorship, but really more of the idea of advocacy in the idea of mentorship. And Dr. Mona Nimmer, Canada's Chief Science Advisor, described how one of her first forays into advocacy and advocating for change for women was when she was still in grade school in Lebanon. And she explained that at the time there was no real opportunity for girls to get into the scientific stream of academia. And so she persuaded her school to actually create this stream so that women can achieve that in university and then achieve a career in science. Do you recall a time in your life in which you advocated for something bigger than yourself, or something for you and also for the people that followed you?
I'm going to tell you a story. Is this on? Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story. So I had my own company, and I had to have a business relationship with someone. Okay, so the way that we're structured is, if you're not big enough, there's a part of you that needs to be in relations with someone who's bigger. And so I had a business relationship with someone. I never really met that person. It was just on paper. They were profiting from my work, and it's just the way the things were working. And there is an unspoken rule, and maybe even spoken and written somewhere, that they can't directly poach my team, because we work together and they have privileged information. You have to keep in mind that I was very young. I was very, very young. First woman, youngest. Forget being a woman, I was the youngest to own a company of that kind in that industry. And so I realized this big tycoon who I had associated with was poaching my people, and what was I going to do about it? You have to go back to the fact that I was raised to believe nobody is above me. So I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, you know, you can't do that. And there is this rule and business rules and fair game and all kinds, and if you don't stop, I'm going to invoke all of those. And he did an awkward silence on the phone, and he says to me, you're going to be okay, little girl. And then I said, yeah, of course I'm going to be okay. I never paid any mind at that moment, at least, to what he had said. It didn't make me feel insecure or like I was young. And I was trying to make my way. I was fighting my way every single day. There were moments where I felt like somebody took a cheese grater to my skin, to my entire body. Everything that could go wrong would go wrong, but it didn't matter. I would take my baby, nurse him, and shove him under my desk and go about my day. When my son was 3 months old, so those of you who've had children, 3 months, he was 3 months, I find out I'm pregnant again. Second baby. Nurse him. Put him under the desk. Go on. And then suddenly I started getting calls from women who had entered into our industry, who were coming to talk to me as if I had something to say. And how did you do it? Who are you doing business with? And I didn't realize at that moment that they were asking me questions because nobody else had done it. They had invited me on insurance panels to make decisions on products that influence the financial market because I was a phenomenon, because I was new.
You were different.
I was different, but I didn't know. I didn't know. And maybe that ignorance at the time before I acquired all the knowledge gave me the courage I needed.
Yeah.
And I just kept pressing on until that same man sits on a board with me, and he sits back and he looks at me and he says, you know, we were sitting on the sidelines waiting for you to fail. And I say, but I didn't. And he says to me, I know. So what I didn't realize is that I had sort of started shaping something where women felt that they didn't just inherit businesses or stand behind a man as he grew his business, but could take the lead because young, very young woman who had no idea had started something and had succeeded.
You both have traveled a great number of countries in the course of your careers. How do you assess this global narrative around the story of women and girls? Do you feel like women are more economically and politically empowered today? And do you see that there's a difference between North America and, say, the MENA region?
Of course. Well, first of all, there's something that we need to acknowledge is that women today, if I look back personally, and I will tie this remark to the fact that I was a judge on the Dragons Den. Because I recall when I came on board, people said, who is she? And at that time, we didn't have that much data about women entrepreneurs. So they were saying that there were about 9%, up to 12%, but there was no concrete data about those women, the age, when, which industry, and so on and so forth. So 2 years later, I got a call from Femmes. I don't know who knows Femmes. And they said, but there is a phenomenon that is happening. And I said, what is it? We have women coming and they're asking for loans because they want to start their businesses and they're mentioning your name. I said, my name? What do I have to do with that? They said, because they saw you and you laugh, you're keen, you're authentic. So they, you see, the perception of what a businesswoman should be is wrong. A businesswoman is just another profession. And you can be the way you want to be. So if you want to laugh, laugh. If you want to cry, cry. As long as you're doing exactly what you want to do, that you're fine in what you're doing. So some people told me, but do you think I can be like a man? I could dress or talk. And I said, well, would you do that? This is terrible. Ask a man if he wants to be a woman. He's going to tell you, hell no. True. I mean, let's just laugh about it a little bit. Why do we always have to compare? So for me, I am an advocate and I will never stop until life decides that it's over. But I will never stop to advocate for women entrepreneurs. This is my passion. This is who I am. This is what I love, because from that, we create everything. We create wealth. We create possibilities, creativity, opportunities for us, but for the world. It's not just about us. It's those capacities. And we are 50% of the economy. So what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? For the government to tell you that it's okay? For your sister, your husband, your wife, who? Just go ahead. Try it. And decide. You want to be local? So be it. You want to be international? So be it. You want to be young? So be it. You want to start at 65? Enjoy. What is it with these patterns or these perceptions that you have to? No, I don't have to. I shocked, and I do, and I love it. Why not? It's true. Why? As long, and this is very important, and we need to say it. You know, men, I admire when we say the boys club. Good for you. Love it. Because they know from the start what it is to be together, to work together, to pass the puck. You know, passer la puck. Like, one is named, at that moment, he would call friends. Can we go for a beer? Let me tell you, you want to come with me? What about us? We need to learn to work together, to praise about each one of us. We don't need to say, she's not like me, she doesn't walk like me, she doesn't talk. Who cares? But can she be a help? Can we help? So we need to talk more about that. Women being ladies' club.
Yeah.
It's true.
It is true. And actually, I think you're all of you are leaders. So I'm going to quote somebody that I love, Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
So people are always looking at you, at us, even though you don't know that they are. So, you know, we mentor sometimes quite by accident, and we lead by accident. So because we've been given all this responsibility. I think of Maggie, Elizabeth, Joy, Jamie, Bhavna, and all of you are leaders. All of you are amazing, and people are watching you. So you inspire people every day, and you have great power. So you have great responsibility. And I'm going to say we because I have my hockey moms in the room, and we pass the puck. We talked about this, Adrienne, Joy, Jamie, about how we have a responsibility. So maybe the world's not fully ready for the powerhouses that we are. But we need to start the process of change. And so think about that. It's changing with us, but it needs to change with the next generation too. So we are mothers.
We are.
And we have children. And our children need to be empowered. And then we need to be taught, not just girls, but also boys. So we are teaching our sons how to interact, respect, love women in a different way. So maybe the change and the fight doesn't end with us. But it's going to continue into our sons and our daughters. And so we have great power. We have great responsibility to the next generation.
Ruba, if I may, you asked me the comparisons between women entrepreneurs in
Women of Arab
women
origin,
entrepreneurs.
yeah.
And I want to raise I've noticed something, and it was kind of interesting. We never think about Arab women entrepreneurs and the differences that we could learn from both sides. And I'm leaving very early tomorrow morning to Dubai, and I'm giving a conference. And I'm taking what I found out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruba,
Yeah.
that in Jordany,
UAE and Tunisia.
and in
Yeah.
Tunisia, 41, 48, and 50,
55%.
55% of women are entrepreneurs. Interesting. The highest rate of women entrepreneurs are there. Do we know that? We don't. And so I said to Ruba, I want to know why. And I want to ask the people when I'll be there, because very important people that think that Arab women need the help of everyone else. But maybe there is a secret, or it is in the culture, or because that's the way it is. We want to know. So this is what we need, and this is why this evening is important. Because in the room you have different people from different culture. And I think this is where it starts. It's to know that no matter where you are from, that there is something in us that is so powerful to create, to be entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's where we need to get more together, not just to, I don't know, criticize, but to be curious. Who spoke about curiosity? You. Yes. Curious about how I can learn from you and why.
Did you want to add to that, or good? So I've got 3 more questions lined up. I'm going to ask one, and so I have enough time for you to ask some questions. And so my last question to you is something that I certainly contend with all the time is guilt, right? Like I've got 2 kids, one of them in hockey, and mother of 4, mother of 3. How do you deal with that? Like, what do you do to contend with that guilt that maybe you don't feel guilt, maybe it's just me, I don't know.
I used to feel guilty.
Okay, all right.
I really did used to feel guilty, and I sort of compartmentalized myself into this role where I had to come home and make lunch and dinner, and then I wasn't there, and oh my God, and I missed something. I don't know what I missed, but I missed something, and I panicked, and then I go to sleep, and I'm like, oh my God, what if he's... I realized, and again, people influence me more than I ever influence them. And there are 2 people in this room that they don't know. Every time I speak to them, I'm a better person. I'm a better mother, and I have a lot more drive. And I'm going to call them out. It's Elizabeth and Joy. The 2 of you have found ways to inspire me, and thank you. And for me, I put all that guilt away. I put all that guilt away because we're equal members of the same team now. And our objective is to win as a family. And we have common goals. We have the respect of each other's goals. We have the gratitude that my son is a great skater. He's amazing. He's amazing.
My son thinks he's amazing.
Maybe I'm a mom, so I think he's amazing too.
My grandson is the best.
Yeah. And that being said, it's thanks to me and my husband who schlep the kids and take them to their activities and help them to grow. And it's really thanks to them, because I also come from a traditional home. Like I said, I wasn't born here. I had to marry the traditional man, although I married a French Canadian. He has expectations when I come home. So in the beginning of our marriage, there was also a big adjustment. Came home and he's expecting a clean house, hot meal, and proper and clean children. And I was like, oh Lord.
How do I do that?
How do I do that? So we had to, we had to evolve. And now when I have long days, when I'm here with you, I'm hungry too when I come home. And so we've changed. We're equal members of the same team. So we're supporting each other. We're helping each other with our common goal, each other's goals. But it's an evolution. It's a learning curve. It's a process. My children, I love them. They are often my purpose. But Joy has taught me that they're not my life. And they have their own path and their own life. Elizabeth has taught me that it is time to let go sometimes. And so all of those little things have helped me to put aside my guilt. And I feel like I mentor my children now.
Yeah.
They look to me in admiration and inspire them. So we have common goals, family, but we're also separate individuals who help each other through life.
Very nice. It's true.
She's like, I'll just take that answer.
No, but it's true. And the beauty is that if we ask anyone or everyone in the room, the stories are going to be different. And this is where when they ask me and they say, how did you do it? I said, I can't tell you to do it the same way I did it because it's personal. So I go back to what I said before when you asked me what is my gift. My gift is communication. And I think that when I came here, and I was a young mother, and I found out that what I believed was going to be easy became the toughest decision I ever made, which is to immigrate. My children were young, but from the start, I thought it was not their decision to come. It was mine. I made it for them. So they cannot suffer from my decision. So I don't know if that is guilt or not, but that was the power of moving forward, number one. Number two, I never lied to them. When they were 5 or 6, 7 and 8 and 14, we would sit around the table and I would not tell them, you know, it's very difficult, we're only having one meal today, and so I would cry alone in the bathroom because, again, I was thinking, none of their business. I am the adult. But I would tell them, it is difficult, it's going to be better, but you will not miss a thing. So they were always dressed properly, certainly not with models and brands, no, but properly. They were having more meals that sometimes I could afford myself. And what matters the most is that the couple need to understand that it is a responsibility that is bilateral. But if we don't speak up, if we don't ask for help, if we don't say, my husband is going to laugh because sometimes he wants to wash the dishes, and of course, no, I know how to do it perfectly. And so that's where, you know, these are details, but these are very deep at a certain point where I can't do this, you have to do that. Let it be. Let it go. Just trust the process and be real. Be true.
Well, thank you everyone again for being here.